And welcome to the podcast. A man who doesn't read my texts because he had the link and then he asked for the link. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. I've got a lot of stuff going on, man. I forget things.
Have you been on? I mean, look, you haven't been on more than me the last 13 hours, but you're probably the second most online person over the last 13 hours when it comes to Arsenal podcast.
Yeah, nothing tonight. I my own, and that's it. That's it, and then I'm done.
So. Yeah, yesterday you I was up late at night. I was listening in on your 8 a.m. Stream, and you're like, I'm doing this one at 8, then 10, then I'll be on the Arsenal Way, then I'll be on the Arsenal Lounge, then I'll be on the Arsenal Gerbil. I mean, it was just one after the other. At some point, how many times can you talk about Paqueta?
Yeah, I mean, and lots apparently. Apparently, you can talk about it loads. I suppose when you're on different channels, you can just talk about it in a different way each time. That's how it works. So yeah, but no,
that's how it works.
Yeah, or not how it works. I mean, yeah, but it's going to be a more chilled evening tonight. Thank goodness.
You seem a bit exausted, which you're not allowed to be around me right now.
I am now. I've got an 8-hour shift starting at 10, and then 2 more Arsenal Way streams today. So, and then it's my stag do at the weekend. So no rest for the weekend.
Are you doing your Arsenal Way stream? Will it be with Chris Davison or Chris Davidson?
Well, it depends who you're asking, I suppose, Mike.
Well, let's focus less on Arsenal in this interlude and talk more about the 26th of this month. We are now barely 3+ weeks away from the end of your life.
From the end of time.
How are you feeling? Are you beginning to get nervous? Are you excited? Are you nervous about your guests?
I'm most worried about you. Genuinely, that is my biggest concern.
Well, someone brought up earlier about how you and I have been having our fun feud lately, and that you really struck the latest blow to me by essentially inviting my entire podcast on without me. And I'm like, but the biggest opportunity is still ahead of us. I don't, all I have to do is probably psych you out by having nothing planned, but just
literally staring me dead in the eye the entire time.
You would be more happy if I pulled something off between now and then, just so that you would know that. But like I promised to you, and I promise in front of the world, I understand the difference between
and ruining someone's wedding.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, the difference between banter and standing up and calling someone a cunt in the middle of a wedding is well known by me. I'm not going to blur those lines. Trust me. Plus, I'll be with my wife, so she's she would not let me.
Yeah, see, I was smart enough to not even invite Mike to my wedding, so I didn't have to worry about it all day.
He did invite Eoin to his honeymoon, though.
I think Eoin invited himself, from the sound of things. Like, pulled every string to get Jared to Ireland.
I mean, that is kind of funny. He paid all the travel agents to draw you there. Although, by the same token, if you had said you were going to Prague for your honeymoon, Eoin would have suddenly lived in Prague.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So Paqueta news.
He's not even coming. That's like,
I know. We knew that from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the thing is with the morning shows, I get questions like that a lot. That's like, he's not coming. Why are you still talking about him? I'm like, because it's a news show, and if someone reports something, that like we just round it all up. That we just tell what's been reported. And to be fair, it's not like I sit there going, X has reported this. You must believe it. I genuinely go, X or Y has reported this, and you probably should be taking this with a pinch of salt. That's usually how it goes. So, despite having to talk about Paqueta a lot, or Tielemans is the other one, obviously, that's going on, but he actually might happen still. So that's the hope. So yeah.
Well, I couldn't be less arsed about the remaining transfers. I certainly hope that we get one or two more in, but I'm thinking about the football right now, not the roster anymore. I'm more interested in outgoings than incomings anyway. But so the wedding. Was it planned on a Friday specifically to avoid the potential for being on the same day as a football match?
I would be lying if I said that influencing the day for it not to be on a weekend didn't factor into my manipulation of the entire situation.
I've never been to a Friday wedding, and this is not even a Friday night wedding. It's like
it's a day, but it's a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, so it's an extended weekend basically. So no one has work. It's a summer holidays as well, so teachers are off. So I've obviously, because I used to be a teacher, so there's a fair few teachers that are going to be there. So they're not working. So yeah, it's despite it being on a Friday, it's not like a everyone's going to be working sort of thing. It's pretty chill. Yeah,
I'm excited.
Every other weekend in the UK is a bank holiday weekend, right?
Yeah, really.
I benefited a lot as a teacher from that. It was great.
The banks are essentially open 7 days a year, I think. Good luck getting your money, but. I mean, from what I understand, and now we are flying into, just to give you an idea, because I want you to be comfortable with my itinerary. We are flying in. Are you having a reception at your parents' restaurant in Leicester Square the night?
That's the after party. That's
the after party is at Canton restaurant in Chinatown. The flight gets in on Wednesday, 3 days after saying goodbye to our son. Off at university, so I'll be crying at your wedding, but it's not going to be over the nuptials. We get in on Wednesday. We spend a night actually we are staying south of the river on Wednesday night because we have a train from London Bridge on Thursday to Royal Tunbridge Wells.
Yes,
and I've heard that it's a very lovely. I mean, the area it's Tunbridge Wells.
They're two different places.
Yes, but they're not far from each other.
Oh, of course not. No, it's nice. It's like out in the countryside. Yeah.
And I mean, are we gonna love it? Like my wife's like, I want to be on a vacation. I know you have these weddings, and I've dragged her now into 3 Arsenal matches while we're over. She's not thrilled about that, but are we gonna feel kind of like
out of place?
Like, very concerned is Mike going to have a good time on the weekend of your wedding?
I already know that I'm going to be the Jew in Kent, but like, but like, it's going to be nice, like rolling hills, like the.
It's a nice. It's probably I mean, the American parts I've been to are all very urban, and urban areas in the US are very different to the urban areas in the UK. But it's very green, very country. Although nothing's green here in the UK, everything's yellow because the sun has just destroyed every bit of green in the country right now. So, the only thing green is my artificial grass out the back. That's the only thing that's remained green throughout this entire heat wave. So, props for
and Jared that he wasn't invited to the wedding. He's got the green with jealousy, but.
The amount of people I podcast with that now are like that give me like evil looks whenever the wedding comes up because because how did Mike get there?
Yeah. Well, it's not that they're not invited; it's that I am. I think the decision and the cutoff was like a year ago when when we were in a really good place. You and me. No, I wouldn't say that, but I am actually honored to make the cut. Can you release the identity of any other luminaries besides me? Anyone whose name might begin with an adjective, for example, that will be attending the wedding. I know Drew.
Drew is going to be there, which will be the second time I've met him.
He said Drew, not Drood.
No, not Giroud. No,
I got excited really quick.
I think Georgia would be running away from me at that point if Giroud turned up. But yeah, no, Drew will be there. Obviously, me and Drew have been friends for the best part of 6-7 years. He's been my main guy on the podcast, and it's a shame he's not been able to come on more. But he's been very, very busy, moving all around the world. So yeah, he's a busy guy.
And I've met Drew a couple times and absolutely love the guy. One of the times I met him was when you first met him. Somewhere in my phone, I have the moment that you set eyes upon each other. But are we going to be at the same table, Drew and I?
Well, yeah. You'll be on the same table.
Beautiful. Who else? Anyone else?
Well, no. The thing is, of course, Andy was meant to be coming, but Andy is somehow officiating on the day of my wedding, which as excuses to not come to a wedding, to say that you are going to be the officiant another wedding is quite the excuse. So that's
I can't see him. We are gathered here today
I can't see it. No, it's that's strange. But no, obviously some of the boys from the Arsenal Way and Football London are coming in the evening. It's like Bailey and a few of the others in the Arsenal Way. So yeah, unfortunately, John was meant to come, but John can't make it, which is a shame. But John has a lot going on in his world, as a lot of you know, and specifically his wider family do. So, that's completely fair. But it's it's gonna be fun. To be honest, the stag do this weekend, I'm kind of, I know absolutely nothing about it.
Oh, the stag do is this weekend.
Yeah, I know nothing. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what the theme is. I don't know what we're doing. I've been told some of the things I need to pack for, which doesn't really give me an idea. That's one of the items was athletic shoes, shorts, and trainers. So we must be doing something active at some stage. So that's going to be fun. My kind of we've been trying to guess what I would be dressed up as. And so a running joke between our friends is whenever I'm in a public place with them, they just go, "Is that Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk?" That's all they do all the time. So one of the things I thought they'd do is dress me up in kind of a sandwich board with that plastered over the sandwich board.
Yes,
I'm Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk. That is what I thought they might do. So we've got ideas, but I know genuinely nothing about what's happening.
That's kind of interesting and very brave of you to walk just willingly into that because I mean, I don't know your buddies, but I know some of mine, and I'm not sure I would sign up for something that kind of open-ended. And there you go. There's an option. Maybe this is it.
What was your stag do, Jared? What did you do?
Not much. I'm not a stag type of guy. I didn't really have an interest in going to Vegas, doing that whole thing. I've done that with my buddies a bunch of times. It's, I've had the wild times where you go to Vegas, it goes sideways, somebody ends up in the hospital. We've run the full gambit of that over the years. So
the whole Hangover series.
Yeah, it really was. One of my good friends, it was actually his weekend. His younger brother ended up in the hospital when we were in Las Vegas.
Jeez.
And, we got up, everybody's drinking at 9 a.m. and it was the next 5 a.m. We get back to the hotel and everybody says, "Hey, where is this person?"
Yeah.
And, we're all like, I thought he was with you. I thought he was with you, that sort of thing. And then one of our group walked in and they said, "Hey, we got to go get him. He's in the hospital." And we're all like, and we assumed it was a joke. We're like, "Yeah, I bet he is." And then they said to me, "Why don't you see if you have any voicemails?" So I look on my phone and I was like, "Oh, I do." And it said, "Hey, this is such and such from Desert Springs Medical Center in Las Vegas."
Oh, no.
And I was like, we've all been drinking for 20 hours. It was like, what do we do here? Because the message specifically says we need a responsible party to come pick him up.
Oh.
I was like, we ran out of those yesterday.
When we find one.
Yeah, so that was an adventure. We got to take a trip to the local hospital, feel that out. And the Las Vegas hospitals on weekends at 5 a.m. are an interesting place to find yourself.
On a bachelor party or a stag do, the one thing you don't want to be feeling out is the hospitals, the local hospitals.
Ideally.
That's for sure. I want to take a quick break, just kind of out of nowhere, to give a major thank you to somebody in the chat right now, and that is BX Gunner. As far as I can think, he has been with us since the start. Let me know if you've been to sleep or not, but you have been here constantly and doing an amazing job of supporting through your words and posts. Of Gooners versus Cancer. I just wanted to recognize you and say thank you. If I remember correctly, you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, so you're pulling an all-nighter just like I am, and I really appreciate the support, mate. It is not unnoticed. That said, he's got a good point. Do please go to goonersvcancer.com. We've kind of been, and I expect this in the middle where people have either donated already or they're asleep. But we're kind of stuck at this $3,945 point here. So we'd love to kind of crank past the 4,000 and head to and over 5,000 raised. But we certainly need your help to get there. And we've got a lot of great prizes left to do. We're going to be drawing Ruth Beck art next, one more. Then we're getting into Cesc Fabregas signed photo mount at the top of the following hour. Which is right over. We're literally going to fly you to Jared's home to take that off of the wall and bring it home yourself. You got to fly yourself back home, but
this is a pickup only situation. I'm not shipping anything.
We're not made of goddamn money, but then we start getting into in the in the 12:30, 1 o'clock kind of time frame, East UK time, we start getting into some kits, some Legends Choice retro shirts, and get those taken care of. So please don't hesitate to go to goonersvcancer.com. And Tom, I have to, again, as I have hopefully many times, but not enough, thank you for your support. For most people in their late teens aren't concerned with helping charity. You have shown that you much like my son Jake, you're mature beyond your years, and you've been very, very helpful and cognizant of helping the charity out. And I have no doubt in all 9 of your streams yesterday, you probably said something.
It's always in our description. So,
yes. Thank you for, and people actually read your description, whereas no one actually sees our description.
You say that. I'll tell you what, I've been so frustrated because
you should put like a secret message in there, like suckle me or something, and see, and like it go 2 weeks and no one will notice it or something like that.
Our YouTube partner got in touch and was like, so like, you need to make sure that you trim down the amount of links that are in your description. Like, just have a link tree where someone clicks and it takes you to all the links. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. I made the link tree. And I was saying to people, like, if you want to join our fantasy league for next season, click the link tree. I have received hundreds of messages going, what's the fantasy code? I'm saying it's in the link tree. I spent time making this. Go and click the link tree. It's there.
I don't mean to be a jackass, but there have been people in the chat in this podcast that are like, how do I donate to the charity? And I'm like, it's running along the bottom. I'm wearing the shirt. I tattooed Gooners versus Cancer on my forehead. You can't really see it that well, but but look, I'd rather answer that question than not answer that question, I guess. No one asked about my stag do. We were on covered wagon. We were on covered wagons in the Wild Wild West during the gold rush, and trying to hunt rabbits. But I don't even remember.
What did you actually do?
I remember. Okay, I really have to think about how much I can say about this. It was at a hotel in Tyson's Corner. There was entertainment there that was hired by the people, because the people I worked with were absolute pervs. I didn't want any part of it.
I don't think you'd say anymore. We know what you mean.
No. And at one point, I was put in a compromising position. Nothing that involved cheating on my fiance at the time or anything like that, but put in a compromising position. And I just remember at this point, I was lying on my back on the floor of the hotel room. And no, I mean, it's not what you're thinking. It was a more complicated situation than this. And I just see my 60-year-old pervy friend, Greg Mitchell, hanging over me going, yeah. And I just I punched him in the face from the prone position. And that's all I remember about my bachelor party. Is me punching someone in the face. But no, there was nothing that would cause me to be impure for my wedding night.
I'll tell you what, if I manage to do the 8 a.m. show on Monday, at the moment I'm planning on doing it.
If you do it on the Saturday, I'd be really.
Well, we're going on the Friday. We come back on the Sunday. So Friday morning, I am doing the show at 8, and then I leave
on your wedding day.
No.
In fairness, he's been up for a long time, so we'll let that slide.
You're talking about for the stag.
On Friday, I'm doing the 8 a.m. show, and then I leave at 8:30. But on my wedding day, I'm not doing anything at 8. There isn't anything planned.
You know what? Can I for once give you some fatherly advice?
Well, don't do it.
Don't do it. Even if you're doing the thing where you don't see your wife on the wedding day.
I'm not seeing her. No.
Yeah, my wife and I did the same thing. We were at a hotel in Miami Beach, and we did the whole don't see each other until she's walking down the aisle. But don't do a podcast that morning. I'm
not doing it on the Saturday. Surely I could do it on the Friday.
You better not do it on a Saturday, but don't do it on the Friday either. Thursday's pushing it.
Yeah, I suppose if I do anything
watch us because it's during the transfer window. Watch us sign.
We're gonna sign some. I tell you what, if we pull off
sign Paqueta on Friday morning, and you're gonna.
If we do pull off anything on the Thursday, it will take some willpower not to do the show on the Friday morning. And I think that the other thing, obviously, is I'm going on a honeymoon from September 17th through to September 29th. And there's only one Arsenal game I'm missing. That wasn't actually planned. It's just fallen that way that across a 12-day period, there's only one game, which is quite fortunate. But, I think there will be times where I'm chilling and I'll just I'll be able to record something. I was talking to Clive the other day about this and he was like, look, don't worry. We'll sort something. Your subscribers won't go without content. So I'm going to have to pre-plan, I think, content to go out and schedule whilst I'm away.
Or just, feed me the inside and I'll do the podcast. Because an 8 a.m. podcast is 3 a.m. for me, although I'll be over there. So that doesn't work. Stephen Feely says, Tom seems like a nice bloke. I might follow him on Twitter. Weren't you saying that Tom blocked you about 12 hours ago?
You block a lot of people.
That's what we 80% of the people that we talked to at the beginning of that. Who was our guest when we were talking about that? Was it Simon?
Simon Collins.
Yeah, Simon Collins, who was joining us from a pub in Trafalgar Square, kind of drinking off the Three Lionesses glory, yeah. and got we were able to see his blood alcohol content double during the time he was on the podcast. It was great. But yeah, he said that I think we somehow came to the conclusion that half the people in our podcast audience at the time were blocked by you, and I just
I mean, do you want to know how many blocked accounts we had? Do you want to try and let's play that game? Guess how many blocked YouTube accounts there are from seeing TGT? And you just to caveat this,
you can block a YouTube account from watching.
Oh, yeah, from watching. When you click hide this user from the channel, in the StreamYard's chat box.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
Oh, so even all the spam people that.
Yeah. So this including spam. So you get those silly spam. This includes them as well.
We had a few.
There's a lot of. I remember there was a few years ago, there used to be a thing where your stream would get bombarded with loads of accounts at once. They would just jump into the stream with awful named accounts. So there's a lot of those. But yeah, go on, guess. How many do you think? I was going for 368.
Higher or lower?
I'm going to say 797.
It's lower than 797.
Okay.
567.
The answer is 421 okay. Accounts are, yeah. But to be fair, just for caveat, we have a pretty strict policy on it. It's not a case of but some people time people out, some people just let them fester. If someone abuses the coach, cheater. If someone abuses the coach or players, calls them whatever, I just, it's just not community I want. I don't really want a community that's being abusive to anyone or anyone else in the chat. I used to hate it, to be honest. I've stopped doing it now, but I used to if someone would be like, your opinion is delusional, you're deluded and stuff. I'd just be like, there's nothing respectful about going up to someone saying what you're saying is deluded. It's just not encouraging.
So does that earn you a block?
Not anymore, but it used to. So there's probably some accounts that have been blocked based on saying you're delusional.
I feel like I block a lot of people on Twitter just for random reasons like that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I'm good.
I don't know how many I've blocked on Twitter. It's
does taking my side on a Tom Canton, Mike Feinberg feud get you blocked?
It depends who you are. If it's Kaya, it might be.
Welcome, Kaya, to the podcast. Good morning. Kaya is up early with us. Now, do you do an 8 a.m. transfer podcast, or is that just Tom?
That is just Tom. I don't envy him every morning. It's very impressive that he's able to get up and do that every morning. I struggle to get up for our 10 o'clock starts, so I don't know how he does the 8 a.m. ones. They are very, very impressive.
I'm still up when he's doing the 8 a.m. ones, so I would never catch an 8 a.m. local time, but Kaya, probably of the guests on this podcast, other than my son Jake, the person who I've most recently seen. Oh, maybe Aston. But how you been, my friend? Are you normalizing? I mean, we had some times together, man. I mean, we
did. I'm always worried when you say that about how much you're going to reveal on these live broadcasts.
I'm not revealing anything that you.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a great time out in America. Thank you again for being so hospitable, and thank you to all the Arsenal America fans and everyone out there for being so nice and welcoming. We had a lovely time in Baltimore first and then Orlando, and yeah, it was a great 10 days, and 10 days that I genuinely will never forget, and really, really good experience.
I think that's, I mean, that is well put, and it sounds like a strong statement, because I mean, you have a long life ahead of you. as opposed to someone like myself. But to say you'd never forget it, but I mean, like there isn't an experience like that. I mean, you cover the team, home and away. You're just embedded. You're very, very kind of. It's an everyday thing for you, but the fan base part of it, the community part of it, I feel maybe isn't something you would normally report upon, even if you were living that in London. I mean, you're not, reporting on what the Tolly's like before and after a game, because that isn't necessarily what your editors want. But in this situation, it is relevant to what the club's status is right now with its fan base when you see what you saw in Baltimore and Orlando. So I'm glad that we gave a good showing to some folks that can come back and carry that forward. But man, those nights, there's a picture of you, me, and James that I just wish I could put out, and I can't because it was too much fun.
That's slightly scary.
Yeah, well, it was at that 22.
Completely naked, Kyle.
No,
not again.
It's just funny faces, tongues out, that kind of thing. But
I put that one up on my Instagram actually.
Oh yeah. Well, so I put it up, except I don't have authorization from James. But after the the tour, we now are back to the business of Arsenal again. Everything's still positive around the club. Everything's still, in the dressing room and in the press conferences that you've been to. I mean, are we still entering this season on a high?
Is Kyle frozen, or is he on that face like that?
Yeah.
What a perfect time to freeze.
I'm print screening that. That's becoming my. I'm changing his work picture.
Yeah,
Kyle, you froze on the best face possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my god! I swear to God. Virgin Media are destroying me at the minute. They are every day they seem to be doing something in the local area. So sorry,
Virgin Media. Why would you name it that? Because it's clear that they've not done it before. They're not good at it before. I mean, because they're Virgin. Why would you trust them with your internet connection? So yeah, the positivity is it still kind of just oozing out of Arsenal at this point? And how do we have more to gain on Friday than we have to lose? That's a concept I've put forth.
I don't know if I'd go that far, because I think all the positivity that has been built up is knowing the nature of Arsenal fans slightly precarious. It always feels slightly precarious just because we always feel one defeat away from crisis. And that's the nature of being at a massive club. And Wenger said it himself, he said every defeat has to be a crisis. And I think Arteta sort of ate those quotes slightly in some way, basically saying something along the same lines. And so I wouldn't go as far as to say, there's nothing to lose, but I would say the positivity is, limitless pretty much at the minute. I mean, everyone is so upbeat. Even people who have been very critical and negative about the club are very, very, but it's very difficult to focus on what I'm saying when that comment comes up.
I hadn't read the second part of that yet, so I took that down really quickly.
Okay. I think everyone's very positive at the minute. Obviously, preseason was fantastic. No one was there for the behind closed doors defeat to Brentford. Everyone was there for the wins. Against Sevilla, against Chelsea, against Orlando, against Nuremberg. So they were fantastic experiences in front of the fans. The bond between the team and the supporters is really close. Season tickets are sold out already. Emirates Stadium was a sellout for the Emirates Cup. So everyone's really positive. And I think they have been pretty much actually since that final day of the season against Everton, where, I think most Arsenal fans had a right to be pretty upset and pretty downbeat, because top four was, it was technically possible. We all knew it wasn't going to happen, but everyone was so upbeat, and they stuck around at the end of the game. Everyone gave the team a standing ovation because they see that, this team is on the right track. They've made some very good signings this summer.
There were still people storming out of that place, bitching and complaining about and I had a go at them on that day, and I think ticked Sophie off a little bit, ticked a few other people off, but I was just so happy in that moment, and it had a lot to do with the fact that my daughter had just moved to London for the summer, and we spent the game together, and she was all excited. Couldn't have cared less about fourth place. And I'm just like, if you just can't enjoy today for today, then I don't really want to be associated with you at the moment. And that was a bit of an overstatement, but yeah, I mean, I forgot to ask you as well, the game in Orlando, the second game against Chelsea. I ran out of media journalist steam, pretty much after the fan event, where you looked completely out of steam. at Universal. First time I've not seen you ask a question of anyone of the interviewing. I mean, was that because you couldn't, or you just decided?
I was hot. I was bothered. I was not in a good place. I wanted that to be over as quick as possible. So,
is this the same place where James McNicholas said he was sweating pure alcohol? Is that?
That's
yeah. Well, yeah, because it was the same night. The three of us out till like 3:30 in the morning, and then the next day I get a notification at like 9:40 that there's a media event that starts at 11, or no, it was 11:10, and the media event starts at 1 or something like that, and so I got my ass down there, and you all, I mean. I felt like I was doing something wrong because I was going into places, like I sat someplace where I could get a more straight on view, and I stood in an area where I could get closer to, and no one else seemed interested in it. So I just wasn't sure. And then I realized everyone was just kind of over it at that point. But that was pretty much the end for me. I knew that the final day of the tour, the final game, the Chelsea game, that was going to be, as a fan, the day to really participate as a fan, and you can't do both. You can't just truly enjoy the whole day and then show up in the press box and be professional after that. So I didn't even try. I sat with the fans all the game. What was the feel back? I mean, first of all, what were the media accommodations better than they were at the other stadium in Orlando? Because that was a joke.
Much better. The food was much better. We had pulled pork sandwiches, little mac and cheese pot, and some pinto beans, which were very nice.
Instead of empty pizza boxes.
Yeah, slightly better than the anemic pizza boxes and sort of like Homer Simpson looking cookies that they had in Orlando City Stadium. But it was good. The leg room was decent. I mean, I always feel weird complaining about these kind of things when I'm talking to like people who aren't privileged enough to go to games every week, and I'm there moaning about my free food not being up to standards. Like it's fine. Like I'm all right. I eat what I'm given. I don't mind. Like it's something to talk about, I guess.
Well, I was doing the ranking of all the different press box meals, and in fact, it sounds like this one might have been somewhere between second and third had I chosen to take part in it. But after the game, I mean, huge stadium, 60,000 people. Was it? What kind of access did you get? Was there a mix zone? Was there? Were all the the big names wondering why Mike hadn't shown up for this? Like where is he? We need him.
That was question number one in the mix zone from all the players. Actually, is where is Mike? No, we got we got the usual post-match press conference from Mikel Arteta, and then to go into the mix zone, they made us put on these rather fetching pink bibs, which were not what you wanted to be wearing in that level of heat, on top of sort of a really tight pink bib.
They give you more clothes.
Exactly. So it was warm, and then it was slightly funny actually. After the game, we were supposed to be getting Zinchenko to speak to, and he hadn't been. I don't think there must have been a miscommunication, and the club were going literally flying more or less straight from the stadium, and he went sort of from there to he was trying to go through security, and he'd gone through security by the time sort of the club press officers realized, and so one of us sort of had to be nominated, sort of like travel through Arsenal security, run past the line, and then go and speak to Zinchenko after that. So the access was good, but maybe not the best. But by that point, like you said, we got a lot of content, and we had our interview with Edu sort of in the bag at that point. So I think we were all very happy.
And in how many weeks does the embargo for that end?
Yeah. Oh man, embargoes are so silly.
I've had my, it's so funny because when let me try to say this delicately, individually talking about the whole concept of the dynamic, it's you hear one thing and then there's a lot of deference given to people who I don't believe deserve it, but that's my own personal opinion. But it is an interesting thing. There's a pecking order. It's fascinating to just be a fly on the wall sometimes. I did quite clearly piss somebody off. During the media scrum. I was
apologize for it, Mike. We're good. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
No, I was trying to do everything right. I was taking it very seriously. I was avoiding being the person that they did not want to be at these events, which is the fanboy who wants media credentials so he can get a different experience and and wear his shirt and that sort of thing. I tried to follow all the the protocols that I possibly could. I think I might have interrupted and overspoke somebody. I didn't recognize who he was, but he this was during the Mikel Arteta interview. No, it was during the Martin Odegaard interview. So it was in that scrum. He was standing directly next to James, I think, the black gentleman. I think we both started talking at the same time. I didn't hear him, and I just kept going with my question. And Martin turned to me, and afterwards he was just shooting me this look, and I don't know who he was. I was like, if I interrupted you, I didn't mean to. I couldn't hear it, but is that pretty much what went down, or am I projecting?
I didn't notice that, to be honest, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, everyone has to interrupt everyone. It's kind of like every man for himself in those sort of situations. You just have to get your question in, and no one's gonna thank you for being more polite. Like, you just got to get your question in. Right? Naturally, it's not something that I feel that inclined towards doing, and like, I prefer it if they sort of pointed at all of us and gave us one question each. But it's just the way it is. And,
which technically, after a while in the actual post game pressers, you would usually have Dan or Mark doing that. And so, what did you make? And then Tom, we'll come back to you. But what did you make of the? And there's a reason I'm bringing this up now, because quite shortly we'll have a couple members of this organization who I think are transforming and changing it come on. But in the Orlando City game, you had a tremendous media credential representation from Arsenal Fan TV, surprisingly so. And and in fact, after the press conference, or after the game, Robbie and Cecil, both decked out in Arsenal gear or shirts and stuff, came to the press conference after the game, which I would have thought the team would have discouraged. Not only did they not discourage it, but Dan Tolhurst, who was essentially dictating after the first 5 or 6 questions who would get to answer one, finished it off with a question from Cecil. Did that surprise you in the moment? Were you, intrigued by the fact that they, oftentimes I guess the club will act more based on the downside of taking an action than try to make a statement like that. In other words, we don't want AFTV going off on us for that sort of thing. But did that surprise you? Did that not really move the needle for you at all? What were you and when some of the other guys came into the press box taking selfies of themselves in their shirts, were you guys snickering at that or not even noticing?
No. I just sent Kai the picture where his face froze and he was laughing at it.
I don't really know what my question is for you, but answer it. Is he
frozen? No, he's there. He's there.
Okay.
The question to me about the sorry, I thought you were asking Tom.
No, I was asking you because you were there.
Yeah, no, I was surprised, just because I've not really seen it before. But I think it was interesting, like pre-season. You get different fan medias in, and I think it's weird, isn't it? Sort of football's changing a bit in the sense the way it's covered is changing, the way we engage with it as fans, the way we engage with it as journalists is changing all the time. So I think, if the club are happy to explore different avenues, I think that's a positive. And I think if they're looking to engage with their fans in various different ways, then that's a good thing. And they're trying to engage with their fans. The fact that they're expanding their sort of avenues for doing so, I think is a positive, because I think, maybe in the past you could have accused them of not being, I guess, having their finger on the pulse when it comes to fan culture. But I think that's changing now. And I think Mikel Arteta has made that a really big sort of thing in his revolution, is he's trying to bring as many fans on board as possible. And, I think things like that do help.
Well, and I think the lines of communication are open. They're not always direct. They're not always responded. I mean, you know firsthand that I had a bit of frustration at times, kind of being this hybrid where, there were communications for credentialed media and there were communications to certain credentialed media. And, not everyone was on both lists. And it's interesting. And I can't blame the club for that. Because the club have a duty, like how I use the have a duty, not has a duty. The club have a duty to not turn its communications and stuff into a circus. And I certainly don't have a employer or a credential or a tremendous amount of history, though I'm trying to build it, of respecting that and walking the line. So I would think that they would err on the side of caution when it comes to inviting me. I mean, I certainly was not invited to speak to Edu and have that conversation in the hotel, and maybe next time for that. But great reporting, by the way, in that you and James both did incredible reporting on that interview, and I liked what he had to say. So, Tom, when do you get the call to come over for a tour? Are you going to Australia next year?
I'd love to go on a tour. I'd love to do that fan experience. But as Kaya kind of pointed out, doing it as media, you are working, at the same time, and whilst you can associate yourself with the fan experience, I would love to do the tour from a fan perspective, more than anything. Sure, I think when you kind of go into this kind of realm, maybe you end up taking for granted your access to players and managers, and getting to talk to them is great and stuff. And maybe, there will be thousands of Arsenal fans that go through their fandom without ever having anything close to that kind of access. And we probably end up taking it for granted sometimes. But at the same time, there is part of me that always feels like you do disconnect for a little bit from the fan side of things sometimes. And I think that I'd love to do a tour as a fan, just going to all the fan events, going to all the games, in the crowds, and just completely immersing myself in that respect. Because, doing a channel for 6 years where half of the listenership is based outside of the UK. So, that in itself is something that I'd love to get more involved with. As you can see, like, fans sending scarves from different supporter clubs, in the US, and more are coming. I think Harry Symeou's holding on to like 3 at this point from people that he needs to hand to me. So it's great. But I think maybe sometimes we do take for granted a bit the fan experience, and equally the other way. But and interestingly, on the AFTV question, I think what's interesting is obviously everyone has an opinion about AFTV and that, and I've certainly been very vocal about both sides of the channel. But what I think has happened more recently is there is a genuine effort being made to try and change, the opinion, how it's run, what they do, who they speak to. There is a genuine effort being made to try and change things, and I'm never for cancel culture at all. Like, I don't think people should be, cancelled off of stuff. I think people should be given the opportunity to change and show they can be better. So if that's what they're going to do, fair play to them for it. And if that means they're, going to ask questions in press conferences and stuff, fine.
Yeah,
I'm against the cancel culture thing altogether as a whole. But I think the nice thing, if you're an Arsenal fan right now in the online world, is we're pretty lucky to have so many good outlets and so many kind of different types of shows out there. I mean, what do we have in this 24 hours? Probably a dozen online personalities, not just, professional journalists like yourself, but other people who just, like Mike and I, are podcasters, fans, things like that. And there's something for everybody. I mean, if you don't like one show, there's 100 other Arsenal podcasts out there, and everybody kind of does it their own way. So we're a little spoiled for choices. And for people who enjoy the changes at AFTV, I think that's great, and it's there for them to enjoy. And people who aren't a fan, there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of other outlets for you to enjoy the Arsenal space online. So we're pretty lucky to have a lot of good content creators out there, along with all the journalists who take time out to do it as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted by something that happened here at home, which is a funny thing. I will say, Tom, I mean, just walking through at the pub events, talking to people, a million people talk about how they listen to your podcast, the transfer stuff. I mean, I'm in WhatsApp groups of people who are trying to connect for events in Orlando and stuff. And I mean, you are, and this is the thing that makes me truly kind of paternally happy for you.
Paternally.
Because I've watched you grow from a fetus to where you are now, and you are a standard bearer now for a large portion of people in the community of Arsenal, and getting good content and being well balanced and so I just want you to know that in the States, while you weren't here, while your employer has not seen fit to send you,
that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Kaya has it covered, apparently.
Kaya has it very, very well covered.
He does.
Well covered.
But you're still a part of the experience there. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So speaking of which, we've completely blown past the last drawing because I completely forgot about it because we are at and into our 13th hour. And in fact, in 9 minutes, we will be exactly halfway through this podcast. And I'm seeing the light at the end of the rainbow. I do not feel tired at all, which is the famous last word.
Yeah, that you shouldn't have said that. It's gonna take a dramatic turn on you.
At some point, the Red Bull will start falling out of me, and nausea will kick in, and I'll. But we need to do a drawing right here. We have started once again over the last 20 minutes with the donations. Donation from Gabe Millard, who was on with us. A nice donation from Tash, who I know Tom knows well. Natasha Lee, thank you for your donation. Sophie as well. Melvin Marks, getting some podcasters in here. And we are now at the grand total of $4,050 raised from this podcast alone over the last 24 hours. So thank you for everybody that's helped donate. You are all entered in to the next drawing, which is once again a piece of Ruth Beck art. We had Ruth on in the last hour, fantastic artist, and we're going to be giving one of her drawings away. And let's do this right now. And then we need to ask for some pics from you guys. Bear with me here. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen. And the piece of Ruth Beck art. Oh, we're gonna pick one. It is. You know what? I'm giving this away. I'm not. You're not gonna get a choice. I'm giving away the Cronky Out Ruth Beck art protest, and it looks like this. Hopefully Russ will win it, but look, you can have this on your wall as a moment to say, look how far we've come. Or if you really do hate the Cronkies, then you can just put this on the wall and celebrate it. But this is an interesting piece of art, and it has been won by. And I see our spammers back, but I'll take care of that in a minute. Oh, Jared, you got it. The winner, Henrik Feeder, who actually can't win. He's already won a Ruth Beck print, so we're going to go to another draw. The winner is. What is that noise? Is that Virgin Media going on? The winner, Nick Canning, also can. This is the point where we're getting repeat winners here. So the winner, if I say it slower, if I say it like Tom Canton does, where he says, "There's a lot going on with that transfer window," and that is all for today.
You got to do a big and reveal. You got to wait for ages and then do it.
Brandon McKenna. All right, B has won. This is interesting because I'm pretty sure he is not going to like the Cronky Out thing. I will let him switch one, but B, former member of the Gooners Podcast, always a friend, has won the Cronky Out Ruth Beck art, and I will, in fact, if he does not like it, let him switch it out for another one. So thank you to B. What happened, Tom? Oh, you got kicked out.
I don't know. I got kicked out.
Sorry, I just saw.
It's like, no, I wanted to win.
We should have mentioned right when Tom came on. We get the giveaway last hour right before you came on the show. The winner was our good buddy Vinny.
Oh yeah,
How was it?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah. That's so good.
Vinny won he won the large. It's a composite of multiple scenes and players and pictures, and this was the one essentially picked while Ruth was on the show. So Vinny, I was really happy that he won that.
That's great. That's so
this one is has been won by who won it?
Brandon McKenna.
Brandon McKenna. That's right. B.
I was listening.
And I love Brandon. He is almost certainly sleeping right now. He's in Colorado, I think, and it's 2:25 a.m. there. So I'll reach out to him in the morning. Thank you, Brandon, for your support. At the top of the hour, at 5 a.m., we will be giving away the Cesc Fabregas mount that has been kindly donated by Jared Carver. And in fact, so that we can see that, I'm going to switch this. and that prize is going to be up for grabs now in about 30 minutes.
So you weren't giving away the Bergkamp shirt, Jared?
Maybe next year. No, that's the prized possession of my small Arsenal collection.
How
But
many
the
things did
Fabregas-
you win in the end from our giveaways, from the football prizes we did?
I got both of those from it.
Yeah.
I got a Pepe one over there,
Yeah.
which maybe I'll give
Jared
that
was
away
just-
if you're
Jared won
interested in
all
that,
of our
Tom.
prizes.
Yeah, you'll have to give that away.
Yeah. But no, the Fabregas one from my wall to yours. I'm sure Michael send me the address. We'll get it out as quickly as possible.
And we'll pick the winner. Now, Tom, I know you're going to need some time to prepare for your big shift. What does a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift involve? Just writing 19 articles?
No, yeah, it's 20. No, it's just we hop on at 10. We do the stream at 10, so I'll be competing with you for views.
How
at 10
dare
a.m.
you? The one time you could, just because I called it the Arsenal Lounge that one time, you're still on one.
Yeah, me and Kai, we're not on good terms because of our feud. Kai's tried to stay out of it, but I'm sorry, he sided with you in my eyes.
Davis,
America. I didn't want to be used as a pawn in your war.
That was a highly edited piece of evidence of Davison Gate.
Davidson Gate, yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. By the way, Chris definitely thinks you've said Davidson. Just putting that out there, like
it is. I've slowed it down, and it's one of these things where like the lips snapped snapped at the wrong time. I've known what his name is. I know what I said, but I also know how it sounds. And so look, I can't. I'm not going to die on this hill. Let's just put it that way. I did ask Chris and Bailey to come on the podcast together, and it didn't work out. And I'm pretty sure that you have something to do with that. But
I didn't know you'd asked them.
But
Did
that's
you actually ask them?
But that's okay because we still got.
I will
August
get them
26th
on. I will pester them until they do. I didn't know you'd ask them. So.
August 26th is coming up. Now
they
they were like what's the topic? What are we? I don't know if they realize that we're mates, but.
You probably said my name and they were like, nah.
I'm not sure that you've realized that we're mates, but Tom, I know you got to get going. Thank you for joining us for the last hour. Kai, you good to stick around a little bit longer?
Yeah, good to stick around a bit longer.
All right, beautiful. And Tom, we're just weeks away from being in each other's loving arms. I can't wait. Can't wait for my wife to meet you. I can't wait for my wife to meet G.
I have met your wife before.
What? When? Oh, we were in London together.
The 12 pins.
Yeah, that's right. After the Chelsea game. Yep. Well, that's true. Well, but she's never met G, and I think they'll get along swimmingly because I'm sure Georgia's just going to have tons of free time on her hands.
Oh yeah.
When my last question to you is, when on the invite when it says something about carriages at 8 or something like
that means no, carriages at 12 midnight. That means that's when it finishes. That's what it means.
That doesn't mean that like we're gonna get a carriage.
There's no horse and carriage. No,
from the location. I almost gave the location by accident.
Please don't do that.
I almost did, but from there to Royal Tunbridge Wells, where we're staying, there's not a horse-drawn carriage.
From the sounds of things, I'll have like loads of people from the US coming over. What you said, pinpointing the destination.
I mean, I've just given the vicinity. That's not the
Tunbridge Wells. So you can. There's a lot of wedding venues there. To be fair, so you'd be hard pressed.
Well, to be fair, I love you, and
likewise.
And thank you for everything that you do, and thank you in advance for all of the mentions to Gooners v Cancer that you're going to make on your streams today.
Yeah, I will do it. I've already done it this morning, so I will do it on the 10 a.m. as well. And then if we do another one in the afternoon, and then I've got one at 6, so I'll do it again then. So yeah.
You came on here just saying, "Oh yeah, I have a light day today." This is a light.
That
day.
is light. That means I'm done at half
podcasts.
6. It means I have an evening off. That is light. So yeah, but no, it's good. It's always a pleasure chatting. Jared's pleasure. Kaya, of course.
Likewise, good to see you, buddy.
Take care, mate.
Speak to you guys soon. Have a good one.
Too.
So, Kaya, we're not really enemies. We're not in a feud. It's a very friendly relation.
Doesn't sound like it.
it's a feud of mutual admiration. Well, at least one directional.
It's mutual admiration that goes in one direction.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the who's the Harry Styles? It's the one direction of mutual admiration society. But yeah, it's going to be. I mean, I will. Should I be live streaming from the wedding? I mean, what would you do if? I'm not throwing away my shot, but no, I don't think that. I think that this will be one of those things like like where the phones are confiscated at the venue, right?
If he's smart, he'll do that. If
not,
then...
how long will Mark Irwin embargo the wedding information?
I don't know.
They should do. Have you seen that new trend where people are doing a video of themselves and say, like, "Hey, I'm Magic Mike. This is my first drink of the night," when they start the evening, and then at like 3 a.m. they're like, "Hey, I'm Magic Mike. This is my last drink of the evening."
Every video stream that I do is that basically.
Yeah.
I mean, we put together the Baltimore. I had a shoddily edited together Baltimore thing that I did a few hours ago on the stream so that I could have a couple of slices of pizza and have a quick break and not only I must have been drunk when I made it because like 4 or 5 different clips appeared 4 or 5 times each. Like it was the same. Oh, Saka scored again because it's the 3rd time somehow it ended up in here. But some of them are basically like, you know, we're here at 5:45. Let's do some interviews, and then the game's over. It's 8:30, and then it's like 5 a.m. chicken, and I'm like eating fried chicken at 5 a.m. in the hotel room. So Kaya, are you home and away now? Like are you traveling to every single game?
Yeah, home and away. Hopefully I'm doing 23s as well this weekend. So they start their season against United at Bournemouth on Saturday, and definitely gonna be doing a lot more women's coverage as well. After I don't know if you guys spoke about it too much on the stream already, but Euro's success over here, which we're all very happy about. Fantastic! Shout out to all of them.
You got back in time for you got back. I mean, I remember watching the from the pub before the Orlando City game. That was was it the Sweden?
Spain,
no, not the Sweden game. It was the Spain game. The extra time.
Yeah.
And you know, at that point, you didn't necessarily see it coming home, but what a. I mean, I have always struggled a bit, just being transparent, watching women's football on a club level. Mostly because I struggle a bit watching like football that is an Arsenal. Like it's a time and capacity thing. But international women's football for me, World Cups, now Euros as well, amazing competitions. Like there's nothing remotely different to me that between watching the women and the men as far as the competition, the sport, the spectacle of the whole thing. And I really, really got behind my 3 Lions, but I know Simon was quite happy about the result. He got to cover the whole thing. Were you a little disappointed that you weren't on the 3 Lionesses beat, and you had to be stuck with me in the States?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'd done the Lionesses beat, I wouldn't have been able to come out to the States. So it was swings and roundabouts, but it was an amazing game. I mean, I actually so I was on holiday last week, and I came back, and I basically, on the cab back from the airport, I was just streaming it all on my phone, and my friends are there, sort of wondering why I was very sort of moving quite suddenly and aggressively every time like a chance got missed or anything like that happened. And I was on a bit of an emotional roller coaster, nearly started crying in the back of the cab. Like, it was all over the place, but it was an amazing day. And I just think you sort of the atmosphere around the women's game. I said this on another podcast yesterday. It's a lot more positive. As much as anyone can try, and I'm sure they will, there's no way you can put a negative spin on what happened to the England women's team on Sunday. Like there's just positives. Like, you know, so many people inspired, 87,000 people inside Wembley Stadium to see a women's game. Like that was unthinkable. Probably even last year. Like I think Alex Scott said on the TV coverage that they were struggling to find stadiums for the tournament, and now they're selling out Wembley Stadium for the final.
It was it was like the highest attended Euro final of all time, men's or women's, or was it even just did it World Cup final even? Maybe I don't know.
I don't know about that because I think they've got that Azteca Stadium in Mexico.
Yeah. I was thinking 86 probably was.
Yeah.
But I
you
mean,
mentioned on the broadcast, I don't know if it was 08 or 09, maybe it was back in 09. They said that the ticket sales were like 15,000. So in just a matter of a little over a decade to go from that to selling at Wembley is pretty remarkable and pretty cool to see.
Yeah, well, we've had a bit of a false dawn in this country with women's football, because after the Olympics, it was massive because, you know, the connection with the women's team is just a lot stronger than it was with the men's team. I'm not sure why. It's probably to do with the quality and how well they played. But that sort of nothing really happened after that. Like, there wasn't really this groundswell of investment. People weren't inspired to go. Girls weren't allowed to a lot of them in PE at school still don't get taught football, whereas that seems to be changing now. And there seems to be like sort of an active movement to change it. People are encouraging people to get down to WSL games, to come see Arsenal play, to come see Chelsea or whoever.
Well, there's always a momentum that happens. I mean, I remember after the 94 World Cup here in the States, there was a big momentum that led ultimately to the formation of the MLS. Yeah. There's, you know, when the American team, I think the first time was in 1999, the women's team won the World Cup. That was the famous Brandy Chastain sports bra moment, which we saw somewhat replicated yesterday or the day before. But you know, there was then a kind of a huge groundswell again of, you know, and now it's about equality and grassroots and little girls and what they want to do with their lives. And I just think it's great. And Simon, you know, Simon says that it was, you know, just the most inclusive, happy, positive atmosphere, and that was a great thing. And the only people that could tear down what has just happened are people who would just want to tear things down for the sake of tearing them down.
Exactly.
And we're not going to let them win this because this is it's a positive story. Even if England, you know, I mean, and by all regards, it looked like England was going to run out of steam once Germany equaled up. I don't think anyone would have said they were favored to.
I think everyone assumed it would go to penalties and then England would lose, because that's just what happens. Like, that's just the way it goes for England.
Well, to the point where Ian Darke was basically saying, you know, did Germany get it wrong? Did they play for penalties and in the process end up conceding as a result of it? I mean, it just you know, because when you play for penalties, if there's a scrum in front of your net and someone sticks their foot out at the right time, that's the game. There's no penalties. So.
That's the thing. And England managed it so well after that as well. I mean, Germany couldn't get out of the corner for the entire last year.
Oh, that was beautiful to watch.
Oh, the housery there was next level. I mean, just corner flag football, that's unbelievable. But
housery.
Yes, housery. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast. I didn't want to say it.
Come on, Kaya. I can understand if you don't want to be seen doing
over there. I don't know.
I understand if you don't want to be seen doing it, but I literally we just had a highlighted chat conversation about how many diaper changes I've had on this podcast, and then rolled right into a beautiful statement from Lynn Simpson to have 97,000 people at Wembley on Sunday, and emotion the commentators showed at the end of the game. It just proves how it's come a long way. My daughter is in her final 4 days of her London 10-week experience, which started with the Everton game, ended with the charity shield, the community shield, which she just absolutely loved and took 8 of her friends to. What I wanted, when I saw what was going on in Trafalgar Square, I said, "Are you watching the game? Are you going to Trafalgar Square? This seems like your cup of tea." And she's like, "Dad, because apparently they went to the I said charity community shield. I meant the Emirates Cup. She did not go to Wembley for the community shield. She went to the Emirates Cup.
Community shield was actually at this year because of the women's final. So
that's true. But she's like, it was such a heavy weekend. Like we are so knackered at this point. You know, and by knackered she meant hungover. But she's like, I really wish we could go down to Trafalgar Square. And I just, you know, me not being able to be there, I love just flocking to where everyone is located for an experience like that. And it just seemed like the most incredible environment. And in fact, I think there was another flocking to Trafalgar Square today, kind of maybe not a parade, but like some sort of celebration. And I think that is what the tail end of what we caught Simon at, because he was at a pub near Trafalgar Square when we saw him.
All right.
Okay. But yeah, just, I mean, it's a great story, and I'm really glad that you brought us back to the women, because we hadn't really talked about that in the last many hours. So
No problem. I mean, any chance to boost the coverage, because we're doing a lot more coverage of it on Football London this year, and I know lots of media outlets are doing more coverage of it as well. So,
well, and that's what I just did to myself. I talked myself in and out of a circle, which was the momentum that exists now with women's football, with girls football on the grassroots level, whatever level it is. Now you already have a competitive women's Super League. The S doesn't stand for soccer; it stands for super. But so it's not like you're forming a league and then trying to get it up and running. But I mean, are we going to see more? And we asked this question of Simon: are we going to see more women's games played at men's stadiums in front of larger crowds, even though it may be a smaller percentage of capacity? I mean, a full Meadow Park versus a 2/3 empty Emirates. One's got 5,000 fans and is full. The other's got 20,000 and looks empty. But, I mean, what's going to change and what's the next step in the evolution of the women's game on the heels of what's just happened?
Well, ideally selling out men's stadiums as well. I mean, the groundswell of support. I think the Arsenal website crashed yesterday for the number of people trying to get tickets to the North London derby at the Emirates, which if anyone wants to, I've tweeted out a link to it. I'm sure there's loads of links on social media as well. Just people looking to get tickets. I think it's September 25th at the Emirates, which is Sunday at 2 p.m. UK time. I'm not going to even get myself into American time zones after I sort of tripped myself up on Twitter by saying
9 a.m. Eastern. 9 a.m. Eastern, although that's one of those times. No, it's not until October that the time zones get wonky.
Okay. But yeah, it's an amazing experience. And, if they can sell that out, that would be so good. Because I think a lot of it is if people see stadiums being sold out, they'll go, which is a weird sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. But if people see empty stadiums, they'll think, the atmosphere looks crap. I'm not going to bother going to that. It looks terrible. So I've been to a full Meadow Park. I've been to a half full Emirates for women's games. And I would say the atmosphere is definitely better at a full Meadow Park just because it's more intense, it's tighter, it's closer. Everyone's everyone's right on the pitch practically. Yeah. And it was interesting. Leah Williamson was actually speaking about it, and she said sort of at first playing at the Emirates, she was like, I don't know why we're doing this. It's kind of like an away stadium. We don't really have that home advantage if we're not playing at our stadium, but that's changing now with the number of people coming to games. Like last season, North London Derby was in May, and the number of people that turned up to that was decent, not great. It got changed from a weekend game to an evening game, so a lot of the kids who would have gone couldn't come. But the atmosphere there was good, and everyone's positive, everyone's welcoming, everyone's friendly. A lot of people are reticent to sort of bring their kids along to men's games just because of the sort of, I guess, the reputation that football has, but that's not really the same when it comes to women's games. So if you've got a chance, get down to as many games as you can this season, because I really do think that we're going to see a lot more people attending those games, especially off the back of the Euros, and hopefully we can all ride that wave together.
I hope so. I mean, if the coverage of the women, and we are obviously sorely on the outside looking in when it comes to this, but it's mostly because of my level of experience with it. But in the podcast universe, amateur podcasts and professional podcasts alike, you're seeing a lot more coverage of the women's game. There are a few podcasts that have delved into that. I know Ryan Fletcher of Mr. Arsenal podcast has certainly delved into that a lot. There's another one which unfortunately I'm not gonna name because I don't really care for the guy, but I give him credit for covering the women's game the way he does. But yeah, I mean it's football. It's not. I mean it's a different brand of football, but it's football. Championship level football, League Two football, non-league football is a different brand of football, but it's still enjoyable. I love me some Sutton United games, which used to be non-league and now are League Two, and their season's already gotten off to a start. I mean, it's just, to me, a football game becomes interesting when you understand the stakes, you understand the interest, and you can be part of it. Whatever level it's at, whether it's 80,000 people at Wembley for a cup final, whether it's 700 incredibly rabid people packing a 700-person stadium in Sutton, and there's a lot more than 700. That's a bad example, but Cowdenbeath up in Scotland, if whatever it is, if it's rabid, if it's bringing people together, then it's something you want to be part of, and that's what you're talking about, that self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh, well, the stadium's only half full, why would I go? Oh, the stadium's 80% full, let me be one of the people that fill it out and sell it out. You do want to be part of that, and I think that's the next step for the game. I mean, it should be. And what I can say on the Arsenal level, supporters clubs here in the U.S., at which I'm very well plugged into, I'm a member of the Facebook groups of most of the local branches and supporters clubs in the U.S. A large percentage of them show both the men's and women's games at their pub and get good crowds for them. Not all, but that the stigma of oh, we're only getting together for the men's games is being banished. I mean, the posts are there, the get-togethers are there, the coverage of it is there, and I think that's great. Long may it continue. So, Jared doesn't like the women's game, though.
Thank you for that. That's amazing.
As the misogynist on the podcast, Jared is not.
The DMs are coming in. Thanks. That's great. Appreciate it. All the hate mail on its way.
That's a clip. Just getting isolated right there.
Yeah, I'm like Mike. My exposure to the women's game has really only started within the last couple of years, and part of it too, it's limited by, my work. My schedule's not to where I have a ton of free time to watch football, so kind of what I see is just limited by how much time I have in the day. But it's definitely something that's getting shown more over here. And on Sunday, my wife and I sat on the couch this afternoon, and you're not going to find a person in the world who cares less about football in any capacity than her. And we watched the Euro final, and we were talking about it, and even she got interested into the game as we were watching it. So
now, was she rooting for England, or was she just excited about the game?
Yeah, well, I explained to her
you were rooting
who
for
England,
was,
who Leah Williamson was, and kind of pushed her in the right direction for who we wanted to win that game. But no, she enjoyed it. She thought it was a cool thing to see, and she's not going to be out buying tickets to a game for herself probably next week. But I think the fact that
I heard she was on a jet.
Interest in someone who cares about it, not at all.
She's on a jet back to the UK, but is that to follow the Arsenal or to go back to Newry?
Yeah, yeah. Newry, Northern Ireland is such a destination now that we've been. I'm sure she's itching to go back and hang out with Eoin again.
It is. I mean, Kaya, if you've never been, it's where the cool honeymooners go to enjoy Guinness with Irish men.
Okay. So my wife and I we just got married a couple months ago. Neither of us had ever been to Ireland. Oh, thank you. We had a tropical destination in mind, but it wasn't the right time of season to go. So we said, we've never been to Ireland. Let's take a trip there. And one of our podcasting buddies on the Gooners pod, Eoin, is from Northern Ireland. So, there's not a lot of chances us being in the States for us to cross paths. So I said, if we're going, we've got to take one night, go up there and visit Eoin. And it actually worked out. The night of the North London Derby was a night we were over there. So enjoyed everything but the game.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate that was the game we had to see, but it was great to meet some new people, hang out with Eoin. So it was all good. And it was like a 12-hour break from our honeymoon. And then we went back to tourist stuff.
Nice.
One of the things, Kai, I want to get your opinion on, because surely being a media maven like yourself, you are aware of this, is this piece of footage. Now, I've tried to avoid a copyright thing by putting my own sound effects in there, but basically the verbals were "good evening, you did a great job at Arsenal," probably sarcastic, which now all of a sudden he can pick up on sarcasm and English to begin with. Good on him, right?
Yeah, I think the guy had it coming. I think Unai Emery tried really hard to speak English when he didn't speak that much when he came over. He tried really hard, and I won't even try to distance myself from it, because as a fan at the time, I was very much involved in sort of we found it funny, but
as a journalist at the time, I can tell you that his press conferences were kind of amusing.
But I guess that's maybe that's an us problem, not a him problem. I don't think
it's 100% an us problem.
Yeah, and I think
English way better than I speak any other language. So
exactly. I think when we look back on the job he did at Arsenal, I think we're all maybe we criticize it because of how it ended, but there were some positives. I just don't think he had a clear identity, and I think Arsenal hired him because they wanted to get straight back into the Champions League. They wanted a quick fix. It didn't work out.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he was terrible or the worst manager that's ever been at Arsenal. It just means that he wasn't the right fit at the right time. And I think everyone at the club still holds him in high esteem. If you speak to them, they still talk very highly of him. He left in a very gracious way, and the whole good evening thing, to say it to his face is kind of a bit of a dick move. It's like when that guy went chasing Pep Guardiola down the street. I don't know if you guys saw that clip. Pep Guardiola's just riding on a bike through Manchester, just on a late night bike ride, and this guy sort of from the other side of the street sprints down to catch him, shouting Pep, Pep, Pep. And then Guardiola looks obviously quite rightly a bit rattled and a bit scared, and the caption is, I managed to rattle Pep Guardiola. And that whole sort of the way
it's a trophy culture of
exactly.
Do you remember? And I brought it up already, maybe once or twice on this Pod-A-Thon. But do you remember the fake handshake with Per Mertesacker?
I have seen that clip.
I love that clip. I have to find that clip because he just literally he did that whole thing of like made you flinch. That used to be like a game, like 2 for flinching. You can punch the guy in the arm if you go like this and the guy flinches. I mean, that was the greatest payback.
Intimidating guy. There's not many people who are taller than me, but he's one of them, and he looms over you. You don't want to. He's not someone you want to annoy, unless you're that guy. But I think he's someone who, commands respect. That was
hilarious. I love that clip. So before I forget, we are 8 minutes away from our next hour, and the next hour, the next half hour. If all goes well with connections and internet and all that, we have a special foreign traveling one of our men. Oh, hold on. Stuck in traffic, might be 10 minutes late. James Bench has 30 minutes with us and is going to be 10 minutes late, but that's okay. He's in the Amalfi Coast in Italy, I think, on vacation, and he still agreed to join us. So, Kaya, let me get, if I can, your top 4 prediction. Oh, I didn't get Tom's.
Well, we can get it from him.
I know how to. Kaya, do you know how to reach Tom? Do you have his?
I'll drop him a message now.
Okay, and I forgot to get his top 4, bottom 3, but let's get your top 4, your bottom 3, and a prediction that bold prediction that you think might come true, but most people would not think is likely.
Okay, just writing that in a message to Tom as well. Okay, so top 4.
I was kidding. I'm going to text Tom now.
That's okay. I've done it. City to win the league. Liverpool second. Then it starts getting difficult. Because I don't think Chelsea will come top 4 this season. I don't want to be as optimistic as to predict Arsenal third, because then I look like a fool. But then I don't want to predict Spurs to come third, and I don't think I can, in good faith, predict Man United to come third. So,
what's the quandary? Who did you say first? Did you say City, Liverpool, or Liverpool, City?
City, Liverpool.
Okay.
And then why not? Let's go Arsenal third. What's the worst that could happen? I'll be accused of being PR anyway. So
I'll tell you the vast majority
top 3. So
vast majority of the 20 some odd people that have already put in their picks have Arsenal in third. No one has Arsenal outside the top 4 so far. It's not a single person.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing about predictions. When we're making them, there's no way you can say that Arsenal will. There is a way, but you can't. You'd have to be sort of denying what's in front of you to say Arsenal won't come top 4. But it's like last season when everyone was predicting Arsenal to come nowhere near the top 4.
No, we had like two out of 25 people, I think, picked them above 5th, and only like 1 or 2 people had them 5th. Everyone else was 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th.
I actually did predict them, but that's another thing.
I think Sophie picked them to come 10th or 8th, maybe. I don't know.
10. Jeez. Okay. Wow. Maybe that's where Man United will finish. But let's go Spurs in 4th, even though I'm not happy about that. But I think Conte is a good manager, and I think they have got some decent players. Annoyingly.
Okay, and your bottom 3.
I have to get all the teams up in front of me because I'll forget some teams otherwise. So let me just.
Well, the 3 promoted teams, just so that you have them, are Forest, Bournemouth, and Fulham.
Yeah. Fulham feel like, they have to go down. That's just the way the Premier League works. They come up every year, they go down every year. That's just part of the
them and Norwich. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They take it in turns. I'm gonna say I think Leeds could struggle because I don't think Jesse Marsch has impressed me that much. I know they spent a lot of money, but I don't really know anything about any of their signings. And then my third team to go down is Everton because I saw them in that preseason friendly and they were atrocious. And I think Frank Lampard is an even worse manager than Jesse Marsch. And I think
it's one of these things. We want you to stay. We want you to stay from the opposing fans because the longer they keep him, the more they are going to be in a fight in a relegation scrap.
Yeah,
but who's their next manager though? That could. Are they going to go to just Duncan full time now? Or
I think he's left actually, but I reckon they're a big enough club. They'll probably appoint someone like Sean Dyche, even though that's not stylistically what they want to do. But I think if they could get someone like a Graham Potter and actually back him, then they could.
That would probably be one of the better things that they could do.
Yeah, I don't think they will, but
they should blow it up. They should go back to. The money that's been poured into that club already with zero benefit is insane. But they have an opportunity to it won't take them as long as it will Manchester United to blow up, start fresh again, and build under a guy like Potter. I think that would actually be the smart thing for them to do, rather than to try to keep going for the patchwork, try to lure Pochettino to come there or something like that, and have that not work.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast things change because I believe it was just, I guess, almost 2 years ago now that they bring in Ancelotti, they bring in Alan, Decore, James. They come out 6 wins from 6, top of the table, to now being a team that just lost 4-0 to an MLS side in the preseason.
I made charity bets at that moment. I made charity bets at that moment. We were like 9th and they were 3rd, and I said, this was probably 3-4 months into the season. I'm like, we will finish above Everton. I'm like, Everton is not going to keep this up. Ancelotti is not going to stay. And people in the chat, and in other WhatsApp groups kept accusing me of saying he was washed up. Never said he was washed up. I said he was not a good fit for Arsenal at the stage that Arsenal were in. He was not going to turn a team's fortunes around. And so I did not promote him as being a good hire for us. Not that he's washed up or couldn't coach, but I thought he would be a bad fit because I knew he was a bad fit for Everton, and that was one of the most predictable things you could see happening. And your bold prediction. I like Jared. That's what he called the bold prediction.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Carl Anker put a tweet out saying sort of time for your sort of realistic predictions, and I said that Gary Neville will understand Arsenal's transfer policy come May, but I feel like I should do something a bit more realistic than that. That's a tough one. Let's say Gabriel Jesus will score more goals in the Premier League than Harry Kane.
I like that one. That's
my bold prediction. That's me.
Right.
It doesn't feel as bold as it maybe could be, but that's mine. I've
got
got Tom's to me, by the way, if you want them.
Oh, you got Tom's. Okay. Well, so he responded to you and not to me. Okay.
Yeah. This is a little feud thing that you guys got going on.
But say it in that Tom Canton kind of that we'll call it a draw. Southern draw.
I'm not even going to try. I'll go. So the top 4, exactly the same as me: City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs. The bottom 3 is Bournemouth, Forest, and Southampton. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, we've got a lot of
matched my bottom 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I are on the same page on that one.
Forest, maybe I should have put Bournemouth to go down, but too late now. But Forest are a bit of an unknown quantity. His bold prediction is West Ham will win a trophy.
Wow, that's good. I think those are both qualified.
Are they in the Conference League or?
They are, yeah.
All right. Well, that's winnable. What was the final of the Conference League last year?
Roma final.
Yeah, West Ham's in that league. All right. So We have now reached. We are at the beginning now of out and again, James is a little bit late. So Kai, do you have a couple more minutes, or do you got to go?
Yeah, no worries. I'll stick around.
Okay.
I've just got a bowl of muesli waiting for me to eat it here, but that's about it. That's my schedule.
You can eat it on camera.
No,
nothing about that. But we're gonna do a prize draw, and this is a special prize draw. Jared, can you demount the prize and bring it close?
Do you want me to? I can.
I mean, it's the only thing I'm going to be asking you to demount on this podcast as we welcome Mikey Herz back into the show.
Hello.
Mikey, Kaya, have you met?
Third time now.
Twice. Okay. Third time. Yeah. You ask us every time.
So what do we have here, Jared? Give us your best sales job while I get the randomizer ready.
All right. So what we have here is a signed framed. It's completely covering me, so I can't tell what you can see on camera. But yeah, a framed Cesc Fabregas mount. It's got 4 photos of him. Signature on the large one right there. So you'll be getting this framed as is. Certificate of authenticity will come with it. And look forward to sending it out to somebody here this week.
All right. Well, we are going to find who the winner is here, and this is our something like 13th or 14th prize drawing. We're now in the second half of the pod, and let's get the randomizer going now. We've done a lot of Ruth Beck art prints throughout the night, and there's a maximum of 1 Ruth Beck art print, but this is in the category of the shirts and the jerseys. So if you have won a shirt or a jersey, and there are only a couple that we've given away so far, you are not eligible to win this. But if you've won a Ruth Beck art print, you are. And if you haven't won anything, of course, you are. The winner of Jared's Cesc Fabregas signed mount is Jordan Lewis. Jordan, thank you so much for your donation. Congratulations on the win.
Well done, Jordan.
Jordan Lewis from, I believe, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Probably sleeping at the moment, but Jordan, you have won. And Jared, you have won because you do not have to ship this internationally.
I know, they just saved me a bundle. I'm glad he's
trust me. Yeah, as someone who has been in the business of having Ruth send me Ruth Beck art prints from the UK to the States and then having to send them back to winners in the UK. It's not ideal. It's part of the deal, but it's not ideal. So yes, congratulations, Jordan. And are you excited to finally get that out? What are you going to put in its place?
So I actually have a piece of art on the way, so it works out good. That's going out the door. I have something from an amazing Arsenal artist. His name's Dell. You can find him. It's Llewellyn Illustrations on Twitter. Does some incredible pencil drawings. You may have seen him across your social media, but a super nice guy who does some amazing artwork. And I actually have something on the way from him. So maybe the next time I see, well, not the next time I see, I'll see you again in like 3 hours, but maybe next week sometime it'll be replaced and I won't be showing up with a random hole on the wall.
Well, and Henry says the best adult dating is advertising again. This podcast won't be dealing with the mediocre or the worst adult dating sites, only the best. BX is asking for a link. I'm assuming the link is for your friend as opposed to for the best adult dating site. Is there a link to send for the artist that, or is that what you're asking? I don't know. I've been up a long time. So yeah, we have now reached the beginning of our number 15, and Ryan Fletcher joined us right after we were talking about him. We were talking about your channel and the coverage of the women's game, Ryan. I don't know if you were in here yet, but yeah, hour 15. We're going strong, having a great time, and he wanted the OnlyFans link. We're that's on our Patreon.
Yes, you got to pay for that.
Go to patreon.com/TGP to check out our Patreon, and it includes late night texts saying "you up" and that sort of thing. So, speaking of late night texts, Kaya, I love you. You are the biggest revelation of the last 6 months for me. Our friendship is growing, again, it's one of those unilateral things where our mutual friendship is growing on one side. But no, it really was a pleasure getting to spend more time with you in the States, and you know, you're wearing of two hats, the fan hat, the kind of the social hat, and then the journalism hat with the production, with the professionalism that you exhibited, is a good demonstration of why they sent you there. And I'm looking forward to doing Australia together.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say. I really appreciate that, and thanks again.
Well, I appreciate it, and Kaya, have a great day at work, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks,
See you later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
All right.